Hey everyone, welcome back. Now, if you read the title here of the video, I'm kind of putting myself on blast here, and let me explain why. You see, a few weeks ago, I posted a video called Buyers Are Liars, or something similar to that. That was kind of the tagline. And I was talking about how you need to have a connection with your agent and really know who your agent is and be sure that you like them, right? But I'm not only saying that having a good connection and liking them as a person is the only thing that you need to be concerned with when selecting an agent. I mean, after all, this is still very much a business transaction. And likely it is one of the largest business transactions. I know it's your house, but my point is, it's a very large, important business-esque transaction, and it's important that you have a very good agent on your side that you also like. Because just because you like your agent, that's not the only reason you should be working with them. Because despite what you might hear, not all agents are created equal. So we're gonna go over a few high-level interview questions to ask that potential agent you may be interviewing. And also a quick pause to just mention that while we would rather you call us and, deal exclusively with us, we're also not naive to the fact that you may be talking to and interviewing other agents. Which is why we at the Crom team always schedule buyer consultations so that potential clients have the opportunity to ask us some of these questions. All right, let's jump right in. First thing is experience. The first question you're probably going to want to ask is, how many transactions do you typically close in a year? This is important because it really gives you a good gauge on how active they actually are in the current market and how much experience they actually have. Now, many might ask, how long have you been in business or how long you've been selling real estate? But that's actually not really a necessarily good gauge to test somebody's experience. You see, the barrier to entry into real estate is actually kind of low, and the average number of transactions for an agent, national average, is like 2 sales per year. Some have been agents for like 20 years, yet they only close a couple of deals per year with friends and family and whatnot. Now, that's not quite enough for me to feel quite confident in transacting with an agent of that type of volume. Things change all the time, from procedures, paperwork, market knowledge, and you really need an agent that's on top of all of that and way up with the times. Point being, you're actually looking for an agent that does some volume. 2 to even 5 deals per year is just not really enough to feel confident that they actually know everything that's going on in the market. Now, all markets are different, but I would say that somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 24 deals per year is a pretty good range. That means they're doing business, they're actively engaged in the market, and they know really what's going on. They've got their finger on the pulse. Now, I might also warn to perhaps avoid agents that are mega agents that claim to be closing between 75 and 100 deals per year. And let me explain why. I could not imagine doing that many deals in a year by myself. I would drop so many balls and let so many things slip that there's no way that I would be giving the kind of service that I want to give to my clients if I was doing that many transactions. That's just ripe for disaster, in my opinion. So I think, again, the Goldilocks sweet spot for a number of transactions for an agent to make sure they know what they're doing, but they're not super bogged down that they're gonna mess up with this important transaction. It's somewhere between the 12 to 24, maybe 30-ish transactions per year. That's my opinion, of course. All right, next question up. Will I be working with you, or will I be working with a member of your team? Now, this might as well be a follow-up question to the first one, because when we were talking about mega agents doing a ton of deals, some agents say, oh yeah, I've closed 100 deals this year, I'm the best, blah, blah, blah. But did you, or did your team? If you were interviewing a group or team leader, it's going to be important to know who you're actually going to be working with. How many team members are there? What are their roles? Are you going to be handed off to a new agent that doesn't really know anything? Are there accountability metrics or standards to keep the service at the appropriate level? And if you're going to be working with another member of the team, you should be sure that you're interviewing them as well. But on the flip side, what if you're not working with a team, and what if you are working with just a solo agent? And how are they going to handle, what happens if that house, that dream house hits the market and they happen to be out of town? I mean, this could be the house, this is your dream house, and they're out of town, you're not gonna be able to see it. What kind of, how are they gonna handle that sort of thing? These are the questions you should be asking. All right, next up, where do you conduct most of your business? Where do these agents primarily work? You see, here in Central Oregon, we're actually, luckily, pretty geographically isolated. So it's rare that you get an agent from a few hours away that's not their market coming into our market to sell homes. Typically, Central Oregon agents sell in Central Oregon. If you're an agent over in Portland, you sell over in Portland. But let's talk about why this is important, right? Because the agent needs to know the market in which they're working. I mean, if you're looking at a house and there's a chunk of land behind it, it's going to be important to know if anything's going to be developed back there. And if your agent doesn't know or doesn't know how to easily find out what's going to happen with that land back there, that could be a problem for you down the road. I'll tell you, I have seen some wild stuff because I have seen agents travel hours and hours outside of their particular market just in order to get a sale. That's kind of a recipe for disaster. You need to trust the agent because the agent needs to know everything that there is to know about the market. And this isn't specific to location. Price point and even housing type are also valid concerns here. If you're a luxury client looking for a high-end home and your agent hasn't sold $1 million property or even a multi-million-dollar property in the past, maybe that's not the right fit for you. Or maybe you're looking for something far more rural, like large acre farmland, and the agent that you're interviewing has only ever done like residential new construction. Again, that could be a problem. Some agents only do one thing. Some agents do a little bit of everything, and some agents do a lot of everything. I'll be completely honest. If you're looking for large-scale farmland stuff, probably not me. If you're looking for large commercial stuff, again, probably not me. Leases? Nah, I'm not even interested. But ask what this agent's kind of ideal client is. It may be first-time home buyers, it may be luxury, it may be new construction, or sometimes it is a combination of all things. And they have the experience to back it up. Next up, how to communicate. Text, email, phone, smoke signal. What is their preferred method of choice? Now, this is something that comes up all the time when talking to clients about their past experiences in real estate. They felt out of the loop, they didn't enjoy the communication. Heck, I didn't enjoy the communication when I bought my first home. I had no idea what was really going on. So what kind of answers are we looking for? Now, a good agent will be able to flip the script on you and ask you what your preferred style of communication is, whether it's phone, text, email, and then they will adapt to your preferred communication style. We do this all the time. But then there are some other things that you can ask. How will we know what to do and when? How will we know what's going on once we're in escrow? How will all parties be on the same page, communication-wise? And then the next question, which is one of the interview questions, we'll just run right into it. Perhaps test the agent by asking them to explain a few of the processes. Perhaps, have them explain what does the process look like for crafting an offer? Or what does the escrow process look like? This boils down to the ability to communicate effectively with your agent. If the explanation is really high level and maybe a little hard to understand, or maybe if the agent just kind of says, yeah, well, we'll get to that once we get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, don't worry. Those two different things might be a bit of a red flag. A good agent should be able to explain the process of, again, crafting an offer or the escrow process very clearly in a way that you can easily understand and that, gives you peace of mind, right? All right, next up, how many clients you're working with currently and what is your availability? Now, this one is really surprisingly hard to answer, even for us, which is why it's a really good question to ask. Most agents will say, oh yeah, I'm totally available, fine, it's easy, I got this. But that's right now. What about in 3 months from now when maybe you're actually in the thick of it, maybe you're actually ready to pull the trigger and purchase a home? When you'll actually need that agent's time, effort, energy. That's one of the reasons that this is a hard question. We have 20 buyers currently that we're probably working, maybe 30. It's kind of tough to really exactly know because people say they're interested and they come and they go, and we've got a leaderboard. We've got a board of all the people that are interested in buying. But it's hard to know when the chips are really going to fall. When that buyer is going to be like, that's the house, or that's the house. Let's go see it. We're ready to go. Even though you stay in contact, it's still kind of a guessing game a little bit sometimes. So perhaps ask the agents in which you were interviewing, even us, how they would like to handle that, or how they do handle having multiple clients at the same time. And how many transactions have they handled at one time? My biggest tip for this is to make sure that the agents you're interviewing don't say none, or almost none, or one or two. I mean, like, why doesn't anybody want to work with you? Why aren't you doing any business? Again, it kind of comes back to that first question about experience. How many homes have you sold on average per year? If it's too many, you might want to run. If it's too few, you might want to run. Okay, here we are, kind of the last interview question. I believe this is number 7 here, and it's kind of a all-in-one question, sort of like a closing statement, right? What are the fees and what am I getting for those fees? I've explained this in multiple other videos, but the buyer side fee used to be determined by the selling agent. Now it is set by the buyer agent themselves and is negotiable. So what is the fee? And how will that get paid? And then maybe this is kind of a closing statement, but what are they getting for hiring you? Now there are a number of answers, obviously, but for me, I think the first one and the biggest one comes back to the experience. Does this agent have the adequate experience to handle this transaction? Are they tuned into the market enough to know where that fine line is between maybe submitting an offer that is low enough that'll really get the ball rolling in your favor negotiating wise to save you money, but without pressing too far to where you really turn off that seller and and kind of sour the seller and have them reject your offer in the first place? Does this agent have the experience and the knowledge to understand when to leverage their position to perhaps save their buyers some additional cash? And do they have the systems in place to ensure that the process overall is as smooth as it possibly can be? How about reviews? Does this agent have glowing reviews? I mean, think about it. Nowadays, reviews are everywhere and are a huge reason for why people decide to choose who they choose. Look up these agents' reviews, see what they say, but actually read them and see if you can figure out what this agent's strong suits are. Speaking of which, hit the thumbs up on this video for good measure. And if you or somebody you know is looking to buy or sell here in the area, obviously the whole point, we're giving you these tips, but we would love to be your local real estate resource of choice and answer all of your questions. So you can reach out to us at cromrealestate.com, and thanks so much for watching. We'll see you over in the next video.